Hi, I'm Sally Grubb with Prosperity Builders and EXP.
And I'm Scott Vosper, and we'd like to welcome you to this installment of the Prosperity Builders broadcast. We are so excited to continue this series of bringing you community leaders and top agents from across the area who are opening their playbooks to help agents grow their business. Our focus really with Prosperity Builders has been on agents helping agents. And so as we continue to unfold that, we're excited to bring you guests who can show you what that looks like at a deep level so that you can incorporate that to your business. So we would love for you to text us your questions, and we'd like to invite you to call text. I'm going to really skip over this a good bit, right? 855-939-6273. So 855-939-6273. And so we are really privileged tonight to have one of my friends and brand ambassadors, David Lillard, who is here to talk to us a little bit about branding overall. So welcome, David.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Excited to have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so David has been, David, tell us a little bit about how long you have been in the business.
In the biz?
Yeah.
Plenty of years, I suppose. You know, the current company that I own, along with my business partner, David Childs, is Spartan Branding. And we're a marketing agency. What we care about is helping our customers deliver leads, deliver success, deliver results with their marketing, what they do. Beyond that, I spent a number of years as a sales and marketing director for a manufacturer of grease traps. So do you know what a grease trap is?
Well,
have you worked in a restaurant?
Right?
Have you worked in a restaurant? I can tell you all about it.
Many years ago.
You may not want to hear about it. But it's a regulatory product, and quite frankly, I said, well, if I can make grease traps interesting, surely I can do something with a few other companies. And so that's why, one of the reasons we stepped down and started a marketing agency.
Yeah. So tell me how the origin of the Spartan name, where did that come from?
Well, that actually starts, my business partner has another company called Spartan Planning.
Right.
They're financial advisors. And you would think that because we both went to UNCG, we know each other, we went to college together at UNCG, that's home of the Spartans, that's why, but it's not.
I just assume.
You just assume, right? Everyone just assumes. But
right.
really it's about the mindset, right? The Spartan mindset, which is really fighting for our clients like they were, us, our family. And it's also just about the very intentional way that we go about things.
Mm-hmm.
We're very specific, intentional, team-oriented, and so that's where Spartan comes from.
So when was it formed?
So we started Spartan Branding in 2017.
Right.
December of 2017. I'm a Story Brand certified guide, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I got certified at the same exact time. Yeah. And that was a big part of it, was trying to do things a little bit differently for our clients. We find that so many companies spend a lot on marketing and don't see the results that they want. One of the core reasons why is because they don't focus on the messaging. They don't focus on telling the right story with their marketing.
Well, one of the things that we've been talking about as we're looking to expand the Prosperity Builder brand, not just here in the Triad, but nationwide, is continuing to tell our story about who we are. And so I think there's probably a point to talk about the difference between branding and marketing, because you just mentioned those two things. People spend a lot of money on marketing, but maybe they haven't focused in on actually what their core values are and what their brand is supposed to look like.
Yeah, it's funny. I was teaching a class last night about branding and talking about that. And a brand is something very big, and it's difficult for even companies to take control over, right? I mean, your brand exists out in the marketplace whether you do anything or not, because branding is really a mix of what we would call marketing and the customer experience. There's two parts to it, right? And they have to match up, they have to align, because if you tell everyone through your marketing, through the product that you create, through all of the different traditional branding that we think about, which is the logo and the colors and the type font. That's what everyone thinks about when it comes to branding. But it's so much more, because if you tell everyone that your brand stands for something by doing all of those different things, and then your customer experiences your product or service and it doesn't match that, that's dissonance, right? That's dissonance. That's those notes that are just barely off. It's uncomfortable for people, and all of a sudden your brand to them means something very different. And so the act of branding is really marketing over and over and over again. It's all these things that we do from a marketing perspective to build the brand, and then how do we deliver that to our customers through the customer experience? You asked the difference between marketing and branding. I've been thinking about that a lot recently. Right. And I know not everyone wants a lesson on what marketing is, really, but I think that the issue is we think of marketing very specifically as promotion. You know, have you heard of the 4 Ps of marketing before? I'm sure you have.
No, but we're going to hear it. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to hear it right now. I'm sorry. So, you know, back in 1960, Jerome McCarthy, who was a professor at Michigan State, wrote a book with someone else. And in it, he detailed something that we now call the 4 Ps of marketing. Something anyone who's been through a marketing class has probably gone through and learned the 4 Ps of marketing. And it's more than just promotion, which is getting the word out. Marketing goes back first and foremost to the product.
Right.
So what is the product? So if it's a shoe, you know, it's more than a shoe, right? What kind of fabric is it made out of? How is it designed? What are the colors that you use? How do your customers use the shoes? That's everything that goes into the product. You get into the price. So what does it cost? That's the second P, price.
Right.
What does it cost? What can the market bear? You got place, which is how are you going to sell this thing? How are you going to get this product into the hands of your customer?
Right.
And then you talk about channels. Are you selling it in store? You're talking about, real estate. The product is there, and you're selling in a lot of different ways, right? I mean, it's personal selling, so you're working directly with your customers. You probably have a website where you're listing these. So there's all these different places where you're trying to deliver this product. And then the fourth part is promotion, and that's the part that everyone thinks marketing is now.
Right.
It's traditional advertising, it's public relations, it's sponsorships. And so marketing in and of itself is much bigger than what we think about. And then branding really is what all of this marketing and customer experience and consistency adds up to for your customers.
So how does a real estate agent, because I think product equates to service, kind of from our perspective. The product is homogenous, right? Houses are houses are houses. So how an agent begins to differentiate themselves. You mentioned story brand, so I'd love to fold that in and talk a little bit about what story brand means and how would an agent begin to kind of delineate what their story is and differentiate themselves that way.
Yeah, so you said something earlier where you talked about telling our story, and that's what a lot of people say, right? They come to us and they say, I want to tell our story. And I have to tell them, I say, well, you don't really want to tell your story. You want to tell your customer's story.
That's so good.
And so-
We were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, and so you want to
Yes.
enter into your customer's story because we all live our lives trying to accomplish things. We wake up every day, we've got things to do, we've got problems, we've got roadblocks in our way. What we really want is someone to come in and help us. And so the story brand framework was developed by Donald Miller. He's written a lot of books, a lot of memoirs. But he developed this based on the elements of story, the key elements of story. And so he uses these 7 elements to help businesses build messaging that really speaks directly to their customer. And the key paradigm shift for you is that you as a company are not the hero of the story. And that's what we like to play, right? We like to play the hero. But you're not the hero of the story. You're this character called the guide. The guide in Star Wars is Obi-Wan or Yoda. In Hunger Games, it's Woody from Cheers, right? It's the same guy,
Right.
Woody from Cheers, yeah. And but you've got this character, the guide.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert if you haven't watched that. It was
Right.
10 years ago. But that's who you want to be. You want to be the guide. And the reason why is because people are living their lives and they're looking for someone to help them overcome their problems and experience success. That's what they're looking for. And in a lot of my classes, I talk about if you play the hero in the story and your job is to save your customer, what are you making your customer? You're making them the victim, right? That's the story you're telling when you say I'm the hero. You're telling the customer they're a victim. Nobody wants to be a victim.
Wow.
They want to be a hero in their own story. And so we use this messaging framework to help people clarify, really reorganize their story into their customer story and place it there, because that's what people want to hear. People want to go to your website. They want to, when they meet you and talk to you, they want to hear you talking to them as if they're the hero. And your job is nothing more than to help them experience success, to win the day, to blow up the Death Star, whatever that is in that moment.
So putting you on the spot, thinking about what does that look like for a real estate agent to play the hero.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we could throw some ideas about what that looks like,
Yeah.
but I'd love to hear what your perspective is, being a kind of a branding guru.
Yeah. So in the real estate market, and you're experts in this, I'm not, but I mean, it's a very personal brand, right? I mean, you have EXP, which is a corporate brand, but what people associate with is your own personal brand.
Right.
They know you as people. That's what they identify with. That's what they associate with. And so I think what we're really looking for is people who want to come alongside us, not necessarily drag us along or force us to go in a certain direction, which is it's a subtle nuance, right? And so when you're working with a customer, I think playing the hero looks like telling them what they want. Coming in and saying, I hear what you're saying, but you don't want that. You want to do this, or you don't want to live over there. That's not a good idea, right? That would be playing the hero because you're trying to save them from the wrong choice. The flip side, playing the guide, you want to come alongside them and understand, okay, why do you want to live there? And maybe you are going to guide them in a different direction. But you want to hear the reason why they want to be there. You want to understand, okay, what problem are you trying to overcome, or what aspirational identity are you trying to assume by living in this location? And when you hear that and understand that, you can come alongside them and guide them much more clearly than to say, that's not a good idea.
Right.
So,
That's great. That's coming from a place of empathy.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think as a guide, you have two things that you really want to display all the time, and that's empathy and authority. I mean, we trust and like, right? You've heard that
Yes.
before. We
Yeah.
work with people that we trust and we like. And you build trust through empathy. I understand what you're going through. And you build trust through authority. I can help.
Yeah.
You know, I give the example of a trainer. You know, I'm not in great shape. You both look like you're in good shape. You probably have a personal trainer. But if I were going to go and hire somebody to help me get in shape, and I went to someone and they said, oh, you want to get in shape? Yeah, I don't know how to get in shape, but I understand what you're going through because I struggle with it too. You want to come alongside me?
Right.
Well, that's all empathy. They understand what I'm going through.
Right.
That's zero authority. I'm not hiring that person. They're not going to help me. On the flip side, if they come to me and say, I don't understand what your deal is. Like, it's so easy to get in shape. There's something wrong with you. Complete lack of empathy,
Yeah.
maybe total authority. We want someone who comes alongside us and says, I understand what you're going through because I was there, because I went through it, and I put
Yeah.
together this program that made it super simple for me to get in shape. Would you like to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I connect with that,
Yes.
don't you? Yeah. Well, so how did you decide and kind of land on being Story Brand certified? Where did that kind of arise from, David?
I first encountered Story Brand back in 2016. I was still working. I was sales and marketing director for the manufacturer. And we had already shifted towards a customer-centric approach as opposed to trying to push our products down the market, down the channel to try and speak directly to the customers and their pain points. So we were already using that kind of language, which is why it probably resonated with us so much. So I went through the course myself as a customer, as a user
great.
of Story Brand,
Yeah.
and came back, applied it at our company, saw tremendous results. And then we brought in a product facilitator. I had our entire team go through it. And again, saw tremendous results. And seeing that, and then I started talking with David Childs, my business partner. He was going through a rebrand at the time. And I helped to kind of talk him through some of this stuff. And he said, I see some really great opportunities here. He was well connected in the Greensboro area. He knows a lot of business owners and business leaders. And so it was a natural fit for us to come in and say, well, you know, from a financial standpoint, you can increase your investment by a certain amount. We're not allowed to say how much because that would break compliance, but you're allowed, you can grow it by a certain amount. You can grow your business a lot more with really great marketing and messaging.
Yeah.
And so that was where it was born from.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I think you touched on that I'm particularly connected with is kind of the idea of liking and trusting, right? And so that idea of really needing to connect with your clients on a personal level, you kind of expanded on that a little bit, where you build that rapport by connecting through maybe it's shared common interests or how important is that in the overall process of being able to create that customer connection that helps drive?
I think it's big for corporate brands.
Mm-hmm.
So showing any kind of personality in your social media is huge nowadays. People don't just want to see facts and figures.
Right.
They want to see a face behind the brand. When it comes to real estate, it's even more critical because it's a personal brand and it's you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, how many real estate agents are there across the country? You know better than I would.
Across the country? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
You have any clues?
No, but that's why we've been working with our agents on trying to find their point of differentiation
Because there are so many, right?
there are so many.
Yeah,
Right.
and so the really critical nature is to figure out how you're going to connect with a person. And for a real estate agent, how do you carve out a community?
Right.
How do you find a group of people that you connect with who connect with you?
Yeah.
And so you can do that around shared interests. I think that's fantastic. So you always want to talk about what it is that you're bringing value to them with.
Right.
That's always critical. But then you've also got to mix in some kind of personality.
Right.
They want to like you. They
Right.
don't want to work with someone
That they don't like.
that
Right.
they don't like. They feel like they're being drugged through the process.
Right.
So you talk about point of differentiation. That unique selling proposition that you have. What is that? What unique way can you serve your clients? What unique way can you connect with people? I think that there's tremendous opportunities because it's all relationship building, and all of us find 1,000 different ways to connect with people every single day.
Yeah.
And it's about finding one way that you can connect with a group of people, because you don't want to reinvent it every single time. That's not good branding.
Right.
That creates a muddled mess. But when you can find that thing that helps differentiate you and connects you with a group of people, and then you can talk about that again and again and again.
Consistency.
The two keys are clarity and consistency.
Consistency.
Clarity and consistency. So you want to
Yeah.
be clear about who you are, what you do, and why it matters to people. And then you want to be consistent about that. You want to say it again and again and again. And you want to make sure, we talk about putting handles on things. You want to make sure that it's clear and easy for them to take it with them. So they can take that handle and they can hand it off to someone else. I mean, I'm sure you've talked with people where you got referrals from a neighbor or from someone else that you knew because it was really easy for them to explain why working with you was great, but also really successful for them.
I love it. Well, Sally, I have one last question for him. Do you have anything that you'd like to kind of ask our expert?
It's such great content. It really is what you've shared with us. And just thinking about, with real estate, we're selling ourselves as agents because we're a service industry. So we just really have to be authentic and speak from a place of authenticity, don't you think, as the guide? Because that is what will create that trust.
Well, and people hear when you're not being authentic.
Right.
They know when you tell them,
They got their radar
I
up.
believe this. It's like the person who's trying, personal trainer, right?
Right.
You can tell when they're
Words
not
have to
really-
match those actions.
Exactly.
If your personal trainer is, is not in shape,
That's
it's
it.
going to be an awful difficult
That's marketing
to
and
trust in.
customer experience. Back to that again. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so my last question, and I love to ask this question, is if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? And you can't say going back to selling grease traps.
What would I be doing?
Yeah, what would your career be if you weren't in the brand and marketing arena?
That's a great question. I haven't thought about that for a very long time because I've been doing marketing for so long.
Right.
I really enjoy teaching these things.
Yeah.
I think I would probably do some kind of teaching. It would have to be college, though. I've tried out. I subbed for a while in middle school and high school. That didn't work out very well.
Right.
Yeah, had a student toss a stapler out the window. And that's when I said that's enough of that.
That's right.
But yeah, I think I could do some college teaching. Yeah.
Well, you've been very instructive for us as we sit here and listen to you give us some guidance about kind of branding and marketing and what do we do to promote our businesses and help our prosperity builder listeners and watchers, viewers, to focus in on that. So, well, thank you so much for being
David.
our guest.
Thank you for having me.
So I just wanted to thank you all for joining us. We're excited to continue to provide these Prosperity Builder broadcasts over the coming weeks and months and focus in on topics that help you grow your business, to help you expand your mindset. So we're looking forward to bringing in community leaders. We're looking forward to having agents come in and open their playbooks. Most of all, we thank you for joining us. Again, we look forward to seeing you next time.